Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on issue 6 of The Man of Steel. Now, as you know, The Man of Steel was a 6-issue series that was meant to cover the sort of post-crisis take on Superman. And the final issue is meant to feature the post-crisis of Lana Lang and Clark learning about his Kryptonian roots. And let's get on the story. It starts off how Clark mainly flies down to Smallville saying, "There it is, Smallville, my old paradise home." And he talks about how nothing has changed in that, and quickly heads down to the bus depot, quickly changes into his civilian identity, where he meets his parents, who are glad to see him, and just as Jonathan's about to spill something, Martha keeps him quiet and says, nothing, son. I'll keep. And we see how they mainly have dinner and that, and them talking about Lois Lane they've got the letters from that he's wrote about, and Clark isn't too sure about Lois because after what happened back in issue 2, but Martha reassures him that Clark's a good guy and that, he'll eventually come around. And Clark says, but you're probably right. I've been contending myself from her clear and all that, but isn't too sure. And we see how Clark mainly can't get to sleep, so heads downstairs to get a bite to eat, and sees the ghost of his father, who he has no idea about. And as soon as he touches him, he ends up back in his Superman costume and sees his parents in something similar to Krypton. But then he sees the outside of Krypton and his mum. Suddenly he starts to come to and realizes it's Lana Lang, who basically wonders why Clark was doing out in the middle of the night, and asks basically how she's here as she left Smallville years ago. But she says, "Left, yes, I did leave. I left for a long time. I had to leave. After what you did to me, to my life." And it turns out that when they were young, Clark wanted to sort of talk to her, basically, about what happened, and turns out he revealed his powers to her the day after he learned about his origin, which is a bit of a dick move. And of course, mainly flies down, heads off and leaves, and says that she wanted to be with Clark and realised she could have exposed his identity if she could, and mainly came back to Smallville after her aunt's passing, and that the place has been in bad shape, but says that she knows that Clark's a good guy deep down and meant well to never hurt her. So of course Clark mainly heads down to where his ship crashed, and thinking about Lois, everything around him, and basically goes to find the rocket ship that crashed 28 years ago to learn more about his origin. But of course finds out to his shock that it's gone and that someone took it. And suddenly he sees the hologram of his father, who mainly tries to do something to him. And then Jonathan and Martha, who got a call from Lana Lang, try to head quickly as they can, sees the hologram of Jor-El, and Jonathan Kent uses a shovel to try and stop it, which ends up destroying the hologram, and basically Clark finding more about his origin, and decides he needs some time away again. So of course Clark basically learns that he's Kryptonian and that he's from another world, as he always thought he might have been like from Russia and that, and basically learns about his parents, his Kryptonian roots, and him being the sole survivor until many more would come. And basically remembers things like every Kryptonian language and everything about him, but decides that all that is now meaningless, but decides to keep the memories of Jor-El and Lara still with him, and thinks what his life would have been like, and says, "But this is the Earth that makes me human." And yeah, this is the story. So, this issue is not bad, but I kind of feel this could have been handled a little better. But again, it's giving you that slight taste of what we got. So, in other words, a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. And the Man of Steel series is actually not too bad. It gives you this taste of what you were going to get from 1986 all the way to 2011 with the post-crisis Superman stories, as it tries to be realistic, tries to give you some better backgrounds like Lex Luthor being rich, basically Clark not being too much of a Mary Sue, and a different ballgame, much like Batman and Wonder Woman. So the series deserves a thumbs up. It's good, it's great, and still deserves some praise. And I definitely think the writer who did Man of Steel knew what he was doing. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.